Hello, everybody, and welcome to the revamp of the CTM Community Podcast.
Third
Hopefully
time.
this one won't. Yeah,
Third time's a charm.
this one will not fail this time. We have myself, Cool Fool. We have. You guys can introduce yourselves.
I'm NB.
I'm Kai.
I'm Chipmunk.
So yeah, we're hoping to keep this up for once and not let it die out after a few episodes like it did last time.
Yeah, the last podcast just needed a bit more sponge. Just didn't have enough.
There was not enough sponge.
But
yeah, we're hoping to do this every few weeks. We don't know exactly when we're going to do it right now, but we're going to try to keep it semi-consistent, but at the same time, don't hold us to any schedules because we don't know if we can keep them, and we're not going to make any promises like last time.
We're making a commitment to not hold a commitment.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here.
Don't trust us about anything.
Chip is hyper today.
I'm always hyper. What are you saying?
How much sugar did you have?
How many acorns did you eat?
Is this information for the podcast right here?
Yes.
Yes, this is very important for the podcast.
I've had no sugar at all.
That's impressive.
I'm just like I'm on a natural high right now. Don't do drugs, kids. Stay on a natural high, and you'll be like me.
I'm on a natural low right now because I took the ACTs this morning, and they were
that's fun.
They were hard. Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah. Speaking of a blast, there's been a few new maps coming out.
Like your map.
Wow,
That
that
was
transition.
What
a transition.
Okay. Chip has to do all the transitions. That's the
What
thing.
does a blast have to do with anything?
Oh,
There's
no.
TNT in these maps.
Yeah.
Speaking of maps, so we have some maps that have come out recently. We have CM4 by Chip. Chip, you want to talk a little bit about CM4?
Well, a year in the making, very big, lots of lag in command blocks, but it's fun. You guys should go play it. Yeah.
All right. We also have...
that should be the commercial. That's just my commercial for my map now.
Go play it.
Can we make a really 80s commercial? Like, come on down and do some CM4.
Yeah, that's the slogan. It's fun. You should play it.
Command blocks.
Command blocks.
You'll get a lot of lag.
It lags sometimes.
Oh.
All right. Well, we also have Terra Restore 2 just came out, which
yes.
is another command
first
block
few
lag
episodes.
map. The first few episodes of Terra Restore 2. So the map maker's releasing an episode, so he's releasing like 3 to 4 areas at a time, and you can download it.
I think
and
it's
pick
by
up where you left off.
intersection. Yeah.
It's definitely very interesting. Like, it's a more adventure take on a CTM.
Yeah, he did a really good job on the bosses.
Yeah, I played a little bit. It's intersection. It's linear branching, but it's a little bit different. Like there's different sectors, kind of, not in Chip's way, but
like areas.
Yeah, there's different areas that have areas that branch off of it, and those are the intersection itself is like an area. Like I think the first one is like a swamp. I don't know. That's as far as I played. It's pretty interesting.
I played the whole thing. There's actually a point where you have to wait, I think 5 minutes because 1.9 is so glitchy that it can't load in the command blocks or it'll crash the game.
Oh,
so
wow.
it has to really slowly put them all in. And I mean, I know it's not the map maker's fault because they wanted to include that, but it's super annoying that it puts you in the bedrock box. It says you have to wait to load all the command blocks.
I can't wait till people see that in their LPs. Like, great, we have to edit out 5 minutes of footage.
Speaking of LP, discordancy.
Oh!
Hey!
There we go.
There we go.
This is the main thing we want to talk about this week because discordancy just came out.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
So basically, Discordancy is a map that was made by Project CTM / any random people who had the IP.
Well, it was just made by the whole
Yeah,
CTM community in general. Project CTM is sort of like they're the
Everything
uncool
affiliated
people.
with.
Like every person was able to come in there, just build an area, whatever they wanted, help out with areas.
So it's a 12 disc map.
Tried to keep it, instead of people from taking their own areas, making their own areas, and saying, if I see anybody else touch my area, I will cut you. But instead, we tried a different way.
In the beginning, it wasn't so much like that. A
Yeah.
lot of the areas, they all had lead area directors, like every area up until, well, even red and black, or not black,
Yeah.
but even the final areas in I4 had area directors, and they still majorly follow suit in the area directors' frame of mind, like what they were originally going for. It wasn't only the areas that the area director couldn't hold his own. Those are the areas that a lot of the other people kind of work together to the area.
And I think that worked pretty well, or at least until like people started claiming.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting because there were some areas where it really felt like it was that map maker. Like Chip, your area screams like early Chipmunk, old Chipmunk.
Yeah.
But there's also areas like abridged that are really interesting and look really nice, but a lot of people helped out working on those.
I love Abridged. It's one of my favorite areas. It looks so
it's
good.
mine too. I think
should we just go
the
through
walls.
each of the areas?
Yeah, we can go through every area. I'll open my world right now and look around a little bit.
So what I did, I guess I'll talk about what I did, is towards the end, I remember when I first joined the CTM community last year. Well, I was part of the CTM community, but like the Skypes and like the main chat, Chip brought me on, and I helped him with command blocks, even though I was a command block noob. And I remember he was originally trying to get a system set up where it read you the area title and stuff when you entered an area, kind of like what he has in CM4. And then we were fooling around with command blocks, and we created a glowstone path that follows you around, and we destroyed all the command blocks with that. We just walked over the command blocks and destroyed every single one and turned them all to glowstone.
I think NB and I had gone on there, and I was trying to give him like this tutorial on like how to command block, and it went very weird. We made like squid. It was great. Bombs of squid. It was. I'm pretty sure we still have the mechanism somewhere in the map.
Oh, it's right under the spawn.
Yeah. So if you ever get your hand on squid eggs, I'm pretty sure you can make squid bombs. But there's no
we
squid
originally
eggs.
had a thing like Hybrid. I think Hybrid actually helped with it. He and I both sort of designed these title mechanisms that would just, whenever you walk into an area, it would say like Grove of Starlight or whatever other names.
They are still in the map. They just aren't hooked up anymore.
Yeah, well, they kind of got wrecked after NB and I went
glowstone
through there.
experiment. But yeah, towards the end, I helped a lot with like mobs, loot, organizing stuff at the end, especially with the monument. And we had to redo like the entire monument near the end because it was just like a big quartz room with it. Even after we switched to discs, for the longest time, it was still a wool monument. So we had to we did a lot of stuff in like the last week before the beta, just fixing up everything that had to do with the monument.
It's hilarious, though, seeing the comments that are like, "Oh, the monument, I love it. It looks so good." Because a week ago, it was Spaghetti Monument.
Oh yeah, spaghetti.
And people who worked on it will know what that means.
There's a giant like tube, I guess you could call it, of stone brick just wrapping around and twisting around like a giant snake through the entire area. It wasn't like this nice little pretty path along the bottom like there is now. There was like speed potion spawners.
And big props to Tiwi and Brown for doing this, the interior part of the monument.
Yo, excuse me.
I really love how it works. Oh, NNB.
Thank you.
Yeah, the farms. There were many farms installed.
Hey, somebody thanked us on the forums today for the farms. They said the farms are so useful.
Did.
Thank you for building that. So you suck at Chip.
People appreciate our farms. Like, I will obviously use my cactus farm to its fullest extent in Discordancy.
I found the cocoa bean farm especially useful.
Make those cookies. Good food source.
Yeah.
So Chip, you also did the Prismarine Monument, which is
that was an
buggy.
experience.
It's still buggy.
That
he still has to fix it.
Fang just needs to tell me what's wrong with things, and I'll fix them.
Also,
But
the monument
pretty
itself
much-
is broken, so Brown Eye's gonna have to fix that because he did the command blocks for that.
I did the I was
It's
the
Chip
monument guy.
Brown, and I was
The
the
thing
guy.
that's broken was Brown forgot to. Well, no. What am I saying? Brown didn't do crap with that. He designed this whole like victory mechanism, where when you like place the what am I saying? Disc. It would put an item frame with the disc, sort of for people who want to do victory screenshots. But for some reason, when Fang I don't know what Fang did, but it shifted every coordinate, but the test for the testing for the disc is in the monument.
Mm-hmm.
It just broke. It was terrible, and now we need to shift all those coordinates again, and it's
Brown also
not an
did
enjoyable thing.
the fireworks that appear when you place a disc.
That was me. Oh wait, no, he did the
No,
he did the color. Yeah, he redid mine.
Oh yeah, he made him colorful because I was
He
standing there and
He did a
judging
good
him
job
while he
there.
was up in the command room.
He did a good job there.
He did.
Good job,
and
Brown.
soon to come, or possibly, unless we get rid of them, are the challenges. that Chip especially loves.
There's
the
no
parkour.
chance. Oh, I want that challenge to burn.
The
So,
parkour challenge.
originally,
Death by 4
I-
block jump.
as many of you, if you've probably played Discord and seen it, realize that many of the shards are hidden in places where you want to hold up your middle finger at Fang Ride right now. That's how I was, at least, with random prismarine shards hidden beneath
Ambient
islands
lighting.
of things. Ambient lighting, that got me so angry. Like, nobody looks for ambient lighting. So I was like, Fang, let's just put a few more obvious ones in there. And he's like, but that'll be too easy. And so I'm just like, so if you're gonna be so stubborn about that, why don't we try like challenges to get these things? And Fang was extremely happy to hear that.
So you did this?
You did this to us? You made us spend like an extra 4 days on the challenges that didn't even get released?
Fang agreed, and I thought he didn't want to install any more, like put any more prismarine shards in the map, and I was just, because Fang is easy to deal with and hard to deal with at the same time. When he knows something, he does something.
Or he doesn't do something like Septum.
Truly.
Way too long.
That's our Septum joke for today.
Also,
We'll
Fang
see
was
you
supposed to
next
be
time.
here, and he ditched us.
Yeah, so, yeah,
so
Fanny Girdle.
Maybe he has to work late.
Fanny Girdle jerk.
probably something like that. I sent him a message. I said he can hop on if he shows up at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Overall,
So-
I think it was a
on.
pretty good project, pretty successful. I think it came out
So,
well.
yeah.
yeah, and right now it is in open beta, or no, open beta right now, free to play.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk a little bit about open beta compared to closed beta. First of all,
Hey, that transition right there,
that was a
great.
good one.
Good transition.
Thank you. I'll do them from now on
Wow. Wow. Okay.
until I mess them up and do what you did.
That was great.
Well, anyway,
Uh,
what do you guys think? I'm more of an advocate for closed beta myself, but what do you guys think about open beta?
So
this open beta. Oh, yeah. You go.
Go ahead, Kai.
my first map that I released on the forum, I released it as an open beta, and for the longest time I didn't get the feedback that I needed. And of course I was a smaller contribution to the community at that time, so I wasn't really noticed when I advertised it on the forum.
Notice me, senpai.
Yeah. So it wasn't, I didn't have like the resources to ask you guys for a closed beta, or I didn't feel like I did. So it was I kind of needed to do an open beta, but I didn't get any feedback until like a few months after I started it. Fang
Oh.
gave me some feedback, and his feedback was very, very helpful. But if I were to do it again, I don't think I would use open beta, because the feedback just isn't as specific most of the time as you'd need.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like a lot of people say, like, oh, this is broken. Can you try and fix it? And it's not really specific. Like I did the same thing with open beta for. Well, Did I do a closed beta for Archangel? I forgot if I did
you did.
Closed beta.
It was
Yeah,
like
you
me
did.
and
Oh,
Brown.
yeah, I did.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
only people.
I guess it depends on how organized you do. So on the side for closed beta, it's sort of how organized you do it. Because when I did Archangel Rising, that map, the closed beta was very like scattered around in a random Skype group, and it just the beta I couldn't get all the issues addressed easily because it was just all spammed in the Skype chat that I couldn't really sift through very easily. And with CM4, I did another closed beta, but that went a lot smoother because so if you're doing a closed beta, you want to do it in the MC forums because that place was able to get a lot more organized feedback than I did with the Skype group. So I'm more of an advocate for that.
Here's my opinion. With open beta, you get more feedback from like more people usually, but the problem is a lot of people also play it that don't know it's in a beta, even if it clearly says open beta. So it kind of will sometimes give a bad rap for your map, because people will play it and be like, "Oh, that map's not very good," but then you try to explain it's an open beta, but they don't even know what that means half the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a problem. But then with the closed beta, it's less people, but it's, again, like you guys said, more organized and more concentrated, and you usually you usually pick people that you know when you do a closed beta.
I thought Kai brought up an interesting point about how he was kind of afraid to ask for open beta. Never be afraid. There will always be people who want a beta test. Just leave a message in the forum. Say, hey, I put up this map. I want some beta people. And a lot of us know what we're talking about and know what it's like to start off. Me especially. I haven't been mapping for that long. So I know what it feels like to be new and make something that isn't the best. But yeah, you don't want to get people who will just tell you that it's terrible, and
you also don't want to get people who are just gonna say, "Oh, it's fantastic." Like,
it's
fantastic.
You don't want to yes man.
Another point that's pretty important is when you do an open beta, everyone plays it, and by the time it's at a point where it's finished and it's done and it's relatively perfect, everyone's already played it. They don't really feel like investing the time to do everything again. They already know everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I'm LPing the beta copy of Discordancy.
That's what happened with the Painter too. Everybody played the open beta because it was so long awaited, and then when Sketch was like, instead of waiting another month, I'm just gonna release it to open beta. Everybody beat it in like a week, and then nobody has played it since the open beta.
Well, I know it still gets a fair amount of plays.
Yeah, but I'm saying
that's another thing. Like once you get out of open beta, like what we've been saying, when a map is released after that first few initial weeks, it dies down. I've noticed, like, there's always that initial burst of downloads, and then it just sort of calms down.
Yeah, people will still play it.
If you can get a big LPer to do it, then you'll get another burst of downloads, but that's not always easy.
So God plays CM4. That means make it happen.
That would be great.
Ragecraft 2 got a lot of downloads when Ziso and God played it.
Yeah.
That's good. It deserves it.
Yeah, it does.
Unless you're vintage beef, apparently.
The Spanish community is very invested in the Ragecraft series, thanks to
yeah, I'm pretty sure like Caecilleus is their patron god.
Speaking of patron gods, Vechs. Thank you.
Transitions. Whoa. Yeah. Just Vechs started a Patreon a while ago. I think was that a few months ago? Like, was it in 2015? It's
definitely been at least 2 months now.
It's been. I think it was since 2015. I remember.
I'm
not sure.
Longer than that?
Well, the only reason we're talking about this is because he is because of one part of it. Not really.
The great father of CTM has started Patreon, and whoever's recording this will probably put a link to it because
I'll put a link to
all the
stuff we're talking about.
So if something's not linked, blame NB.
Yeah. So one of the things Vechs has currently been working on is Super Hostile Online, and as many of you guys know, Vechs is the first CTM creator. Some nicknamed him the father of CTM, and some not so nice. And
Hybrid.
Oh, have mercy. And So he's trying this MMO for which is kind of interesting, a different style for that I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the CTM community haven't seen, and that's sort of what he's appealing to, along with his YouTube subs.
Yeah, it's meant to be like a thank you for donating. Here's a cool thing that's a little different than everything else, and it's definitely something different. But
it is.
Oh my god, Rock's chat is talking about Super Hostile Online at the same time.
Oh well.
Whoa!
Shout out to Rock and his chat.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, as I was saying, I don't remember what I was saying, so I'm going to talk until I remember it.
Yeah. You can pay. I'm pretty sure it's a minimum of a $5 donation to get onto his Patreon server, which is also what he's going to be using for Super Hostile Online. And because Patreon is a monthly thing, it would just be $5 a month, which I'm not sure my thoughts on that for the dev MMO. I think it's okay because the people on there are not as strange as you would think. Some of them are great people, and some of them are not so great people.
Chip, everyone is great. Don't listen.
Here's my opinion on paying for his MMO. I understand that people are going to pay because it's Vechs and they're already a patron to him, so the Super Hostile Online will be a bonus. But for people that just want to play it and don't really care about the whole patron perks, the $5 a month is not really worth it from what we've seen of it. I mean, I know it's like nowhere close to done, but just all the stuff that he's talking about, like not really having plugins running entirely off of command blocks, like using the trust system for people not to break the map. I mean, that's a little bit sketchy in itself. Like, there's always going to be bad people that are going to come on and want to ruin other people's fun. And then
against that part,
there's hold on
the patient server right now.
There's not a lot, but there's a few Minecraft MMOs out there that are really good and they're free. So Windcraft in particular is the big one. But
I know Vintage Beef is working on one too.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that looks interesting.
Yeah, that one looks good. I
want to see how that turns out.
But I don't know if it's going to be worth it to pay $5 a month for his MMO unless it's really, really good. But from what I've seen, I don't think it's going to be worth that $5.
I think if you're paying just to support Vechs and you like him as a creator and as a YouTube creator, it's fine. This is a general perk. But if you're doing it just to get on the server, I mean, it's your decision. I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but I don't know if it's necessarily worth it.
To be honest, I mean, no offense to Vechs about this, but I did it as I sort of did the patron thing as a joke at first, and now it's actually turned out pretty well. I think he's done a good job organizing it, no matter for how little credit a significant portion of the CTM community gives him.
The initial announcement for his Patreon, I was pretty worried, but I thought he took a very good route with the way he did it.
Yeah. That was how I got banned from his channel, but then I did his Patreon thing.
I have another opinion about that.
No, he never unbanned me. I still can't comment on his videos.
I don't think he's done a good job with the Patreon, and the reason why is because half the reason that he made the Patreon was more Super Hostile maps, and the other half was YouTube. Now, he's done a good job with his YouTube. He's doing new series and stuff. Like, at least his making of the Super Hostile Online, at least that's interesting to watch. But the other half of it, the actual making maps, he's turned that into Fund Me for Super Hostile Online, which when he promised triannual releases of maps, I think it's something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is. Instead of, he's not actually making the maps, he's making a server for an MMO, and people wanted CTM. So, I don't know. I just don't think that was a good route. It kind of feels like, personally, I thought about donating to him because I want to see more maps. Like, even if they weren't the best, at least we're getting new CTM. So I was like, okay, $5 a month, may as well pitch in. But now that I see him that he's kind of gone, oh, no, never mind. You all donated for CTMs, but now we're doing Super Hostile Online. That kind of feels sketchy to me.
I was super excited the route he was taking when he announced that he was going to have the Dungeon Island or whatever on the survival server.
Oh, yeah.
And basically every week he would, or every few weeks, he would add in a new dungeon for them to explore on a survival world. I thought that was awesome. And I really wish he kept that up instead of switching over, because I think that's more related to his roots.
Well, he hasn't switched over yet. We still have that, but I've only been on the server for about 2 dungeons, and I've been on for like maybe 2 or 3 months, I think.
I don't think he's changed them since
Yeah,
Valentine's Day.
there was a Valentine's Day dungeon, which was a giant leaf maze with bedrock, and then he changed that up after after a week or so, and added a little boss, which I'm not I don't want to give my thoughts on the boss.
We saw the CM4
boss.
bosses.
Is it just a fleecy mob or something?
It wasn't a fleecy mob. But the goal of this thing is not to get wool. It's just to get gear. People ended up just grinding the boss down, and it was kind of tricky to do at first, mostly because of the 1.9 combat, which was an interesting experience to adapt to.
I saw the dungeon from Chip's perspective on Skype, and it just felt like lackluster. Like it was mostly bedrock, which we all know doesn't look the best.
I think it was just something he threw together. He was like, "Hey,
well,
you guys want a
but
dungeon?"
Vechs is certainly getting better at with his map making. I can tell that for sure, since I've seen on a few of his Super Hostile Online videos that his terrain was like. At first, I was a bit wary about it. I was just like, "There's not enough trees here."
Yeah, but
then he's sort of learned the block contrast thing. I think he's done a good job with that.
One of the
I
things
think he's making an attempt to modernize, which is good.
Yeah,
because before he was a little bit too reluctant.
Sorry, NB, go ahead.
One of the things that I saw in one of his videos is he was building that giant wall, which we are all comparing it to Donald Trump just as a joke. But the one thing about that wall is what I heard him say, which I didn't like, was, "Should I make this look prettier?" And then he said to himself, "It's supposed to be defensive. I'm just gonna leave it as is. Doesn't matter how it looks." And I'm like, okay.
He's adding to.
I'm like, okay, that's not right. You.
He asked for pixel art to put on the wall, so like people can make your.
Oh yeah, that's the thing on the server. The thing I don't understand is he's having them all build it on the survival server, not just like send them into him or something like that. It feels kind of weird.
Yeah, but I don't know how I just feel about some of the opinions he has on certain stuff, even just a little stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, you can still make a wall look good and and look defensive. Like, you don't have to just automatically think in your brain. Like, that's kind of, it leans towards the lazy side of being, well, whatever, it's just a wall, it looks defensive, don't need to make it look good at all. And I'm like, I don't know.
I mean,
he's actually
he's
using a block palette. He uses a block palette now, which I'm glad about. For those who are like not acquainted with a lot of the terms we use in CTM, block palette is just sort of like the colors of the blocks you use in your area. Like if take Discordancy for example, in that abridged area that we use like a mix of ice, snow, and packed ice, because they all sort of have that like sort of similar color.
And blue stained clay.
Yep, of course. Blue stained clay, the answer to life,
and it looks
the universe and everything. Yeah, block palettes are very important when it comes to CTM mapping, because if you have a single solid block, like a single solid block for an area is not always bad.
It's important when you're working for anything, a painting or a game that's outside of Minecraft in general. It's
good. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're building a house, you don't want to use like rock and stone just everywhere.
Just picture if Super Mario was not all those different colors, it was just red. You wouldn't even know what was going on. It wouldn't be fun or interesting.
You'd think you're having like something's happening to your eyes.
Like some kind of seizure.
Yeah. Oh my god, everything's red.
It's all over now.
Well, it's less that. It's more of you have to pick colors that contrast well with each other.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, which...
Contrast and complement. You don't...
Yeah.
You don't want...
Yeah, you don't want to use...
No, you don't want to be like...
Redstone blocks and obsidian.
With lapis.
Oh, have mercy. Redstone blocks and block variation is very, very hard to pull off.
Yeah,
you want to keep it to
nether trees. They look good.
Yes.
They look good for nether trees.
I think Caecilleus was one of the first to do that.
Yeah, he was.
And then
Well,
Chip
that's
copied
a
it
little-
in CM2.
I didn't copy it. I
You
used
copied it.
Okay.
You used it in
Listen
one of the worst
here.
areas of CM2 as well.
It was probably one of the worst areas. Yeah.
Wasted.
CM2 was an interesting experience, but I loved it because
I remember that was the one that
so many trees.
I saw the most like streams and playthroughs of too.
People played that a lot, and they ended it off seeming enjoying like
I remember,
with a bunch of the LPs. People like Insanity, I've noticed,
I remember
because that's how I ended off
Aura
that
streamed
map.
that, I streamed that, Vert streamed that. I'm pretty sure a few other people did as well. I was
Having
Yeah,
never
I know.
played that map, what do you mean by insanity?
At the end, I pretty much had the player go through like 7 final parts, or 8 if you count the first section of the
I
area.
remember I flew through that because you told me about it, and I was like, what is this? I'm sorry if you can hear my washing machine right now. It's really loud.
Yeah.
there was also that the temple that I'm talking about with the redstone trees. I remember in that area, it was like if you've ever played CM3, you know the area in the bookshelf where there's one of the areas is like a temple. Well, it was
Libraria
yeah,
notoriety.
it was like that temple, but more compact with more spawners in the first intersection. So
Yes.
with void, may I add? So
Void and my signature tightrope.
yeah, so
Oh my god.
it was not fun.
And I had used potion mobs in that area.
Oh
and
yeah, that too.
It made that area very
Fun.
fun. That's
the word.
how you describe it.
All right,
But,
well, anything else?
well, we sort of went off about the.
Yes, well, we were
That
talking about
Patreon.
Vechs. I
So
think we...
one of the things he brought up was loot tables, which was an interesting subject. That's one of the new features to 1.9.
Very much.
Yeah, they're one of the new features to 1.9. You can sort of, it's a new version of the dungeon loot layout. Like, you know how when you're playing vanilla Minecraft and you're caving and you come across the majestic dungeon that is there, the loot tables sort of make it so you can customize that. Like, instead of making it so you can find just you can get the same chest in every area. You'll get different stuff for conquering the area each time, which is what Vechs was sort of doing, and I thought that was very interesting.
Can't you do that with like certain mobs as well?
You can also change the loot tables for mobs. Like you can make it so you can completely change their drops universally.
Yeah.
Like I can make a zombie no longer drop
Finally.
rotten flesh. I can make him drop like cool fool heads, something like that.
Yeah. That was long overdue because you used to have to make them like wear it in their pants slot if you wanted them to drop something funny.
Yeah,
So you could have them in a full suit of armor and drop something special, but now you can.
Hold on,
I haven't looked into them that much.
We haven't been going for that long, only about 30 minutes, which is pretty short for a podcast. So I think one thing we could talk about, which I don't know why we didn't put this on the doc, is 1.8 versus 1.9 for CTMs.
I just figured we wouldn't have enough time, but we have plenty of time now. So 1.9. Chip, you have been working a lot on 1.9 lately, so why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
as well.
Yeah, NB sort of like, I was still wary about using 1.9 for mapping at first. And then like during one of NB's streams, he sort of just started talking about just mapping in 1.9. I'm just like, you know what? I'll try and give it a shot. So I ported my little server files I have that I used to map, and I sort of updated them for 1.9. And it's worked very well so far. I've been able to come up with a bunch of cool things. Everything works. 1.9 is very fixable, to be honest. The combat, I managed to be able to overwrite for my maps since I don't.
It's
I
a
don't
little
like the
annoying
combat
to
delay.
fix this, though, for a map.
But I think it opens some interesting opportunities. Like we were never like for stronger weapons, we made the player have to go slower, and then players would never pick up that weapon. But if we have it with a slower attack speed, it makes the player want to, first of all, give them a higher likelihood of taking the weapon, but it also makes it so just sort of the same effect with the player wanting to get a slower item instead.
So-
Yeah, so you can give them like a heavy tool.
Here's my opinion on 1.9. I think that the combat, it's all right. It's really good for vanilla. I think a lot of people actually said like, oh, it's bad for PvE, but it's bad for PvP. I actually have the opposite opinion, because PvP now, especially bow combat, is literally sitting there with your shield in a stalemate until someone either A, swings their sword, or B, shoots their bow. And it's really slow and boring, in my opinion. But for PvE, the great thing is most PvE outside, like, vanilla doesn't have that much PvE. The majority of PvE comes in mods and maps and stuff like that. So I think it's really good for CTM, because it adds another level of customability to every single item in the game, pretty much. You could, like, change attack speed, so now we can have, like, different, like, I know axes are already by default slower, but you can have different items be like heavier and like take more time but are more powerful, and you know, you can make different classes now and have like ups and downs, like actual like defects that people will like. Before, defects on items, people would just say like you couldn't really make a good defect where people would still use it. Usually if you made a defect on an item, people would just throw it away. But now there are actually ups and downs to the different defects and stuff. So I think that's really good. The thing I didn't like about 1.9, which is more of a what I wish it had, is a new weapon. For being a combat update, it really lacked innovation.
Combat.
Yeah, it lacked combat for being a combat update. Like, the shields were cool, but it's like, and the arrows are kind of overpowered.
Yeah, a bit.
It depends.
Except you can't get them in normal, unless
no, you can get them.
Somewhere with a.
You can get them. You just need.
They're so hard. You have to go to the end.
Yeah, but
still,
once you can.
I think that sort of balances them out a bit. So like, you can't really get them in, like, if you were playing a UHC or a PvP event, which involves survival, it would be very difficult to get those overpowered arrows. But they're well worth what their cost is.
Yeah, I think.
Someone got those.
Oh my god, in UHC or something like that, they would just destroy everyone. One arrow, poison arrow, and you're like, half a heart, just have to tap you now with my feet. Kick you with my toe. And you're dead. But yeah,
slowly kill them.
It's a little, like, the other thing that's really, really good about 1.9 is, that's a plus side, is number one, how much smoother the game feels. And number two, I mean, I know people say they get a lot of lag, as Ty would say, but I don't really get any more lag in 1.9, so I don't know if that's just a thing with certain people or if it's an actual problem with the game. The game feels a lot smoother for me. And then the other thing is the command blocks are a godsend. I actually can use command blocks now, because before I was so oblivious to them, and now it's a lot easier.
They are the most beautiful things in history. That it's going to improve the mob lag in many FPICs. I think it's a very good change.
Okay, you have any opinions on 1.9 or cool?
Yeah.
Well, I recently got a hold of Chip's server. He was nice enough to give it to me. And I've been tampering with it in a world. And I haven't really played around with 1.9 before this, so a lot of the stuff to me, I've been listening to a lot of rants and such on the forums.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm not having such a big deal with the attack speed changes. I know that that we don't have a very big selection still in terms of weaponry. I mean, swords are still far superior to every other tool. Even though axes were buffed, you can still get a higher DPS from swords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bummer.
Higher.
And this is just like a map maker thing, but the NBT editor plugin, there's a new version coming out which is gonna completely support 1.9 and 1.8, which is
also one of the things I don't
amazing.
think they thought all the way through is the fact that the default sword attack is the, like, area of effect attack, because if you're doing that, just like doing simple things like farming animals, for example, I saw this on the Minecraft Reddit today, and if you're just farming animals or something, you're gonna hit like 4 of them at once, and like that could be bad in some situations, or just like, I don't know, picking out mobs like zombie villagers. Like, this is more vanilla stuff, but just like simple stuff like that I don't think they thought all the way through is kind of what I don't like. it didn't feel as well thought out. But I will say, the Elytra is one of my favorite items that they've added in a really long time. Oh, it's so fun to use, even if it takes, even if you have to get to the end.
Yeah, it is an interesting item. It seems more dangerous and scary to use. I mean, I don't know if I would use it if I got a hold of it.
I think you need to tamper with it first.
I think you'd have to get used to it.
You like, it's not when you first do it. Like I know, NB was telling me, or I'll let him tell what his first experience with Elytra is like.
Oh yeah, so I didn't know how to use the Elytra at first, so I was playing that new CTM map, Elytra Fall, which actually isn't that bad, even if it's not a standard CTM. But it was really weird to use because I didn't exactly know like the whole flying mechanics, and I didn't know the AI had to jump in midair to activate the Elytra. So I was just jumping off the platform, waiting for the Elytra to activate for like 20 minutes. Like, why isn't this thing letting me glide in midair? And then I learned, oh, that's how it works. You have to jump in midair when you use it.
Yeah, they added that change much later.
Yeah.
Then the Elytra got introduced, and they're like, oh, we'll just do this. I think that's good. Because there was like a glitch where you were running downstairs and it would like glitch into the ground, and that's why they did it.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. That's a bad change. I was just joking around, but yeah, that's really interesting. It's one of those things that everybody's gonna have to get used to. But I think once everybody gets good at using the Elytra, I think it's a good item that we'll be able to get good advantage of.
Levitation potion effect is really cool too.
Oh yeah.
I think that
the levitation potion is fun.
It could be a little overpowered, especially in PvP. I mean, this isn't really CTM, but in PvP, you could hit someone with a levitation arrow or potion or something, and they just fly up, and you just keep shooting them while they're sitting there.
Can you brew it? I didn't know you could brew it.
I think you can.
But no, you can't.
You can't.
Is it with a rabbit's foot? I think it's with a rabbit's foot.
Yeah, I thought it was.
No, that's jump boost.
Yeah, that's jump boost.
Oh.
Really?
There's definitely a way to brew it.
I feel like...
There's no way. I'm in 1.9 right now. There's no way.
Oh. They should add that.
Yeah, so... Anything else we have about 1.9 or Vechs or anything?
One change I liked with 1.9 is the armor change that you can...
Yes.
What's the armor change again?
You can change armor values on armor.
Oh, that's
you can make leather armor have the equivalent of make you invincible without any enchantments.
That sounds more confusing than anything. I mean,
yeah.
For standard players, that finding a piece of armor like a leather chest piece, knowing that it's more powerful than a diamond chest piece, and then just leaving it.
But just imagine it, you can make a troll diamond chestplate at the beginning of a map where you just give it to the player and it just gives them -1 armor, so even when they're wearing it, it'll just take off one of their armor points instead of protecting them more.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'd find that hilarious.
Put a negative value on there.
Potion of Mending is the best.
Potion of Mending?
Oh wait, no.
It's a enchantment.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
I don't know why I said potion.
I think that's going to be a very good endgame enchant, since you can give out tons of unbreaking in CTMs, but now we can give mending as a very valuable
enchantment. Because you get so much XP. So now
you get it'll pretty much mean infinite gear once you have it.
And with the increasing number of enchant books that get put in maps, it's putting kind of enchantment tables. You don't really use a lot of your XP because you don't use enchantment tables as often anymore. So I think definitely it'll be a good
especially with the enchanting change. It only costs 3 levels.
So you'll actually get to use your XP instead of just using it as a high score.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because
enchanting, I've noticed enchanting has gotten a lot smaller.
That is one of the problems with later on in maps, is especially just examples of Ragecraft. There's unbreaking 10 items in intersection 3 because it still breaks within the area. You can't even finish an area with an unbreaking 10 item in the final areas of that map.
Unbreakable items
and that makes unbreakable really good.
Yeah. But
I think that's sort of what we've been using as our equivalent of infinite weaponry, but now I don't think we'll need to use the unbreakable tag as much anymore, because if we use mending on a thing, we can sort of leave that to the player to repair their item, and if they want to let it break, let it break.
Yeah.
It's sort of just another thing for them to watch out for. I think that's a very, very good change.
I think you have to be careful not to give out mending books, though, because it is a really hard enchantment to get by default, because you have to find it in the naturally,
But
in an actual
the
Minecraft
sad thing
world. You
is-
can't get it from enchant table, and it's a really OP enchant, so I think you would have to put it on the armor and not give it out in books, because if you get it out in books, then there could be certain items that you don't want to have mending that get mending on them.
Yeah. Yeah, like if they get it on a custom item, like this, like the kind of stuff in Ragecraft.
Yeah, that it could be a little bit.
Like, heck, if you get it on a pair of jump boots, they could have infinite jump boosts throughout the entire thing. Which is, I think that's
jump boots are so great.
Jump boots are amazing things.
I love to jump.
Yeah.
Slime jump, as our friend Omega would say.
Slime.
Chip, did you see that
But,
GIF I sent earlier?
Any other thoughts?
Yeah. But, so, what else do we have?
That's about 46 minutes, so I think we could wrap it up here. It's good length.
So,
for the
are we
first
just
one.
gonna edit it?
My internet is imploding on itself. I'm pretty sure Pelican
Oh.
got home because the internet just got so much slower for me.
He just walks into the room.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully
thanks.
this won't crash and burn like the other two podcasts.
Hopefully.
Maybe you'll see these guys next time. Maybe it'll be new people. Who
Also,
knows?
feedback
It's-
is always appreciated. This is pretty
Yes.
new. I mean, I've done podcasts before.
And if
but
you have
for most of
questions,
us,
you
this
want
is new.
answered.
The host and guest might fluctuate a bit. I can tell.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
far I
I'll
was
be
gonna go.
here.
Like, B Major and Fang were both supposed to be here, and they both couldn't make it, so.
And Brown
can-
was also invited and could not make it.
Yes.
I just ended up being a stand-in, so I don't even know what I classify as.
You were
Guess.
an honorary member.
Honorary guest.
So are you, Chip.
Aw,
Maybe we'll
yeah.
bring Chip back.
But
yeah,
I
this
am
is,
an honorary guest.
Did you like Chip or did you not like Chip? Put in the comments.
Put it in the comments. Also, you have a scale,
Hashtag
you're on a
Team
scale
Chip
of 1 to
or
10.
hashtag Team Not Chip.
Yep.
Who
See
Get-
will
you
get
guys
your-
later, and all links to
If you
topics will
have-
be in the description.
And if you have questions you want us to answer, leave them in the comments as well.
or the forums,
Yes.
whichever you.
Yes.
please.
Adios.
See you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
right.
Bye.